Good night, everyone. Tonight, God is good and God is good all the time. My name is Irma J. Spirit Divine. I'm here to give you a word on tonight. And the topic gonna be when morning comes. And this gonna be Lee, Rachel's sister. Jacob gonna work 7 years for Rachel, but he gonna end up with Lee first. So Psalms chapter 30 verse 5 gonna say, "Weeping may stay for the night, but rejoicing comes in the morning." So this story gonna be about Lee, the sinking feeling, that she had for Jacob. So when her father Lambert came up with a plan for her oldest daughter to marry first, she gonna go along with it. So Jacob saw Rachel. Now this is the story right after Jacob stole his brother Esau's blessing. And remember the mama told him, "You go ahead on by my brother till everything die down." So now he done made it over to her brother house, which is his uncle Lambert. And when he get over there, the first thing he see was this pretty girl standing over there. And he asked his uncle, "Who is that girl over there?" He said, "That's my daughter." He asked her, he have her. And the uncle said, "Yes, for only one thing. You have to work for her. You got to wait 7 years for my girl." You know, so so Jacob saw Rachel and he fell in love the first time he saw her. He asked his uncle could he have her, and he said yes. You have to wait 7 years for her. Now 7 years had ended. Jacob ready to marry Rachel now. Well, she think he about to marry Rachel. So Lee came to the wedding. That's her sister. She came to the wedding. Under Leah's a bridal veil. So she had the veil over her head the whole night. But when Lee covered, it didn't last for long. It's so much that you can do that it will not last forever. That's why God said, "Your stone, this too shall come to pass." It's temporary. Our trials supposed to be temporary. Her veil that she had over her face, temporary. Because when morning come, the veil had to come off. But Lee cover didn't last long, because when morning came and her true identity had to come to light. She wearing that veil trying to cover up something. Because she didn't want Jacob to really see who she was. Because the whole time Jacob thinking he done married all Rachel. She walking around with the veil on her head. But when morning came, that veil had to come off. Her identity had to come to light. So Genesis 29:23. But when evening came, he took his daughter Lee and brought her to Jacob. When morning came, there was Lee, still of Rachel. And Lee went along with it because she loved Jacob. Just like Jacob had noticed Rachel over there, Lee over here noticed him. So she noticed Jacob and Jacob noticed Rachel. So wherever her daddy came up, the plan he came up with, she was all for it. She was silenced the whole time. So Jacob was in shock to find that he had been deceived, into marrying his Rachel's sister. So Jacob worked 7 years to have Rachel, but when morning came, that's when that light came. It was Rachel's sister Lee. Her father Laman deceived Jacob after he done worked 7 years for the woman that he loved. So the blame was on Laman's shoulder. He took his daughter Lee and brought her to Jacob, and she didn't say anything. So she played a part of being deceiving Jacob. She was simply obeying her father. Lee loved, she was obeying her father, and Lee loved Jacob. That's why she went along with her father's plan, and she was silenced the whole time. So Lee looked down on herself. Don't know. I'm talking to anyone. That's one thing I don't have: low self-esteem. Do not have low self-esteem. Don't never say somebody else is beautiful than you, because God ain't made a mess. God made all us beautiful in His eyes. So she had low self-esteem. She always saying that her sister's more beautiful than her. So Lee looked down on herself, saying that her sister's more beautiful than her, and Lee kept the veil on. But when morning came, the veil had to come off. Her identity had to come to light. But we do know that in a clear light of morning, you know, the game was over. So her and her father had this little game going on. But see, she slept with that veil on all night. But when morning came, that veil had to come off. It had to come off. Her identity had to come to light. The game was over with. So, but we do know that in the clear light of morning, the game was up for the whole family. It was up. Joy comes in the morning. No matter what you go through at night. When you wake up in the morning, that is joy. You being thankful that you still alive. You know, and so Lee hid beneath that veil. She had that veil on the whole night, the whole time she had it on, just walking around with that veil over her face. So she hid behind that veil, but her father hid behind the scene. But he failed to take responsibility for Jacob pain. See, Jacob in pain, he loved Rachel so much that he willing to wait 7 years for the woman that he loved. And turn around, he have the sister. So Larry is shameless above a hard bargain to keep Jacob in bondage. You know, so he refused to take responsibility of what he did to Jacob. Instead, he shameless Jacob, hard barking him, keeping Jacob in bondage. So Jacob had to work, for 7 years. He had to wait 7 more years to get Rachel, to be his wife. So Lee loved Jacob, but Jacob's heart was with Rachel. So after he done worked 7 more years to get Rachel, now he ended up with 2 wives. So Jacob saw Rachel and he that he loved her at first sight. So when Lee saw Jacob, she knew that she was in love with Jacob. Jacob loved the Rachel from standing over there, but Lee loved the Jacob for her standing over here. So Laban came up with a plan to deceive Jacob. Lee went along with the plan. She also was quiet. She was silenced the whole time. So Lee loved Jacob and kept the veil on all night. But when morning came, the joy came. The identity had to come to light. The veil had to come off. When morning came, the game was over. So Lee fear. She fear that she is not lovely, and beautiful as her sister. Here she go again, talking about her sister. So Jacob married Lee and Rachel. So he ended up with 2 wives. He loved Rachel more than Lee. See, Lee gonna be the one to give him all the children. Rachel, she gonna be the one that ain't gonna give him no children. But down the line that she will. God created, beauty. He did not create mess. We the image of God. Now she always looking down on herself. Talking about how beautiful her sister is. I encourage myself all the time when I be watching my videos and stuff. You got to encourage your own self. Don't look down on yourself. We all is beautiful to God. We the image of God. So don't never, that one thing, no matter what I go through, I don't never have low self-esteem. Don't never have low self-esteem. Don't never say someone is beautiful than you. Always say, okay, that person look nice, that person is beautiful, but don't never say somebody beautiful than you. Build your own self up. So Jacob married Lee and ended up with both sisters. So God created beauty. No matter what you're going through, there are another day. No matter what you go through, you might have a bad day that day before. But when morning comes, just joy. It's a blessing. It's just being thankful. That God it's thankful for you to be alive. Especially if you in a storm that seem like it don't want to pass, and every time you wake up in the morning, that's a blessing. That's a blessing, to still be alive. So no matter what you go through, no matter what you went through that day, you got to think about, you done woke up this morning being alive. So when morning come, that's a new day. Start all over again. So when the morning come, that is joy, that you is alive. So when morning come, the veil come off. The game is over. The identity come to life. When all these things come in the morning, he said, joy come in the morning, you know. So we see that Lee must to be blamed, with deceiving Jacob. She have a lot to do with it also. Because she knew what her daddy was doing. She knew what her daddy was doing. But she went along with it because she loved Jacob. But you deceive Jacob, so he felt a type of way. You done had all them kids, and Jacob's heart still was with the other woman, with Rachel. So you done did all that, and and Jacob's heart is still with Rachel. So um this passage is about when morning comes, joy comes. When morning comes, the veil must come off. When morning comes, your identity comes to life. So when you mess up and had a bad day, and then the next day comes, don't worry about that day. Just try to make up and do better when morning comes. That's your day to start all over again. That's a whole nother brand new day. To start your life all over again. Do it right. What mistake that you done made the day before. So joy come in the morning. Joy come in the morning. That's Psalms chapter 30. 5. Weeping may stay for a night. You may weep at night, but your joy comes in the morning. So that's all the word I have for you on tonight. Remember your joy come in the morning. So y'all have a blessed night, and I see y'all in the next video.